In order to get started with using controls and Visual Basic, you're going to need to make sure that the developer tools are enabled inside the PowerPoint. To do that, you're going to go to File and then Options, and then we're going to go into Customize the ribbon. And if we look down at the tools, we need to find the developer section, and if this isn't already enabled for you, you'll have to enable it. And once you click OK on there, you should see the Developer tab at the top, which you can go to. This will give you a set of different controls that you can add onto your slides, such as buttons and text boxes and combo boxes, etc. Select the Developer tab. And in this example form, I'm going to add two controls. One of them is a label, which is simply like a piece of text. From here we can look at the property sheet for this, and notice it's got a name of label 1, and it has a property called caption. This will be the text that is displayed in this control. You can use these properties here to change things such as the font, colour, etc. of the controls. The next control I'm going to add is a text box. And again, notice that we have the name of text box 1, and we have an area where we can access the text that would be typed into that text box. The next control we're going to add is a button. And this could be used to do something like simulate submitting a form. I'm going to change the caption on this to be submit, and you'll see that this will lead to the text being changed inside of the button. And we have a basic form now that we would be able to use within PowerPoint. So if I view the PowerPoint in here, we'd be able to type in text and press the button. For the moment, nothing has been set on the submit button to perform any action, but we'll do that next. And how do we attach some code to a button like the submit button here? If we double click on the button inside of PowerPoint, you'll see that we get a new menu kind of appear. And this is the Visual Basic interface here. And because I pressed on the button, it's automatically taken me to the section of code that will be executed when the button is pressed. I'm going to type in some simple Visual Basic for Applications code here. This will display a message box when the button is pressed. And I could add some text like this. So thank you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some code here that will allow us to access the text box. Text. And display this as part of the message. Like this. What you might also want to do is at this point is remove any of the text that was inside of the text box. So I can do this by saying text box 1, that's the name of the text box I added. I can, instead of reading from the text property of here, I can actually set it to be an empty piece of text. I'll go back now to the form and review this web page. This PowerPoint, sorry. If I click on the submit button, it says, "Thank you, Bob, for your reply. We'll reply soon," and you can see it's now cleared the text box control. Finally, something you might want to do is control presentation itself off of the button, and we can add this piece of code that will force the slideshow to move onto another slide. I'm just copying it here from another example that I'd made earlier. And essentially what that's saying is, for the current slideshow, change the view so that it goes to slide 2. And in the case of the presentation that I'm working on here, that would be another page, such as the done page there. Okay. So now we can finally, if we view this slideshow, we'll see that we can once again type in somebody's name. The submit button will display the message box as before. When we press the OK button, it will take us on to the next slide, slide 2. And notice that it also, if I go back a slide, you can see that it had cleared the text that was in the text box control. A control that you might like to add is a combo box. This is something that will allow us to choose different options. If you double click on it and go to the code, instead of changing the combo box change method that's highlighted, what we want to do is first of all add in some code for the got focus method. And essentially what we do here is we're going to tell Visual Basic to add the different options to our combo box, whilst making sure we only do it the once. You don't want every time you get focus for it to keep adding them to the control. We can also show how many of those rows we want to be listed. Then we can go to presentation mode, and there you can see we've got the 3 options that we added and all 3 of them being shown. Once we have the control, we'd obviously need to try and make use of the value that the user selects. To demonstrate this, we're going to use another control of a button, and we're going to make the action of the button get the value from the combo box. To get started though, we're going to change the caption for the button. We're going to make this be the word submit. And all we need to do is add a line of code on the click method for this button that tells us to put the text you picked, and then go and grab the value from the combo box that's on the page. And then when you see this in presentation mode, you'll see for each choice you make in submission of the button, you'll get the text and value from the combo box you require.